another episode of River City Sports Podcast. I am solely looking forward to this show because we do have a young man who's been in the community, may not be in the River City or the Duval County, but he has been through here. He has made a mark down south, across the country, and honestly, to see him come from his humble beginnings 12 years ago to where he is now, it is an absolute blessing. But to be back in the studios is what I love, because God has given me the ability to not only put myself on Front Street, but also others. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with our special guest.
March 25th at Abyssinia Baptist Church. It's Kim and Son's 13th anniversary, featuring Harvey Watkins and the Canton Spirituals, Zacardi Cortez, Tim Rogers and the Fellas, Keela Richardson, the Gospel Legends, Risen, and Maurice McZeek and MDK. Kim and Son's 13th anniversary, March 25th at Abyssinia Baptist Church. For tickets and info, call 904-813-0085.
In our world, women wear many hats. Whether she's our sister, auntie and mothers, or godmother, she tends to go out of her way to make everyone okay. But who checks on her? Lifetree Women Care Clinic believes in addressing all of women's health issues and preventative care issues to keep you going. Our state-of-the-art facility that can directly address all of a woman's health concerns. The caring staff of the Lifetree is waiting to serve you. Our director says it like this.
My goal is to meet every woman, one woman at a time, right where she is, and let her tell me what she needs so that we can work together to meet those needs.
Every woman deserves the best treatment, no matter what. We promise to treat the whole woman at the Lifetree Women's Care Clinic. Schedule your appointment today.
Isn't that the place to start?
And we are back. We are back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial break, but we are back with our special guest. And without further ado, we have this outstanding young man. This is the greatness, Mr. Darren T. Green. I never knew what the T stood for, but I got it at my phone as Darren T. Green. But this man has been making on the airways for years. If you didn't see him, you wrote a lot of his write-ups about kids. He's been ranking kids for years, teens for years, and where he's at now, it is truly a blessing. Darren, how you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing great, Rick, man. I'm doing great. Celebrating another year and adding things to my resume and trying to grow as a person and really trying to get out here and give these kids things that they haven't received in the youth football world. So that's always my driving force.
And man, you know what? I can truly say that is definitely a driving force, because I can remember years ago, I told Dan, I was like, hey, man, these people coming for you. And he was like, nah, Rick. I was like, no. It's like the one thing I always knew is when you start hearing name drop from several people and they're calling the same name over and over again, you don't want to sound as if, let me pull you away. Because, I mean, even when dealing with Darren from the first time we met, it was, okay, this dude going to blow up. Okay, this the guy. Yeah, he got the mindset. He got the attitude. But the one thing Darren never liked to do, and let me say this live on this show, Darren don't like to charge money. And I'm like, Darren, you can't do that. You got to charge. And I'm talking from a person where I don't like to charge money. I don't like to overly extend the pot and saying, oh, you got to do this to do that. I've always felt like if you're doing it for the kids, it should be for free. Well, then business hits you in the face. Okay, yeah. You have things you got to pay for. There's absolutely security that you got to pay for. It's so much that when you start talking about an event that goes along with the event and the people that come, they want to check. The people like, so it's like, okay, I got to put a fee to this. And I'm so glad that he overcame that to now he has the best preseason event that's out there. He has that hospitality, Southern hospitality. He got that Northern hospitality. And if I'm correct, sir, if you could just tell us a little more about your Southern hospitality and how it has grown, just give us a little insight on that.
Southern hospitality started during the pandemic. As much people know, I got a call from Reggie Jones, who used to a former NFL player. He established Air Academy in Seattle, Washington, and he got into a chirping match between the Southeastern teams because everybody know football starts and ends in the Southeast region, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, like that's king, So Reggie was feeling the need to come down here and prove himself. So he called me on the phone and he was like, and at that time I was with Generation Next. And he called me on the phone and we hadn't did an event because it was the pandemic. So when he called me, he told me what he wanted. He was like, he wanted to play certain teams. So it was just supposed to be just an air thing, but against RDU in the Northside Pride. But I just turned it into an event. And so from turning it to an event, I had to put the bow on it, which was, what would be the perfect name. And like, if you coming from the Pacific West and you coming south, like we gonna give you some Southern hospitality, So that was the start of that. And I end up, and my boy Ricky, like shout out to Ricky, man, because we have this relationship where, like I would have never known who certain star players was if I would have never came to Between the Hash. I remember him telling me about Bryson Wright out of Augusta. I forgot what the name of it, but you know what I'm talking about. St. Augustine. Matter of fact, St. Augustine. That's where Bryson Wright was from. He told me about this kid. I came to see him. Cam Davis, who's a 5-star right now. I got to see him at Between the Hash. So like I enjoyed my trips up there. My guy treated me like a king every time I came up there. And my first Southern hospitality was going through a lot of people ain't gonna talk about their bad times, but you learn from these things. And I didn't have a lot of police enforcement, and the police end up leaving, and the incident happened, and my event was going to be shut down. And if my event was my first event that I end up running, I end up putting a bow about it, and my event could have ended right then and there, and a lot of people would have went home mad. And in this day and age on the internet, if they tear you down on the internet, that pretty much ends your career. And my boy Ricky came to me. It's like, D, hey, they shutting you down right here. You could use my part, bro. I'll go over there and cut on the lights, and I'll get you my stuff, and you can finish it out over there. And shout out to my boy Ricky, because if he hadn't stepped in right then, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now, And I remember a lot of people telling me at that time, hey, go count your money with your guys. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna count my money. I got to make this event happen, because if this event don't happen, it's the end of me. That money don't mean nothing. My reputation is everything. And Ricky went over there. He got his people to cut on the light, and I drove to his house doing the dash because he stayed kind of far. Got all the stuff in the car, came back. We streamed it live. We in the middle of the hood, and everybody standing around, and we end up ending that night with a bow. And I made it happen that night after the police had canceled my event before the big game. And shout out to RDU and Air for being patient that night, because they could have just ended it right there, but they was okay with driving to where it was. And that ended my and that started Southern hospitality. And ever since then, every year it has grown. And I've added Northern, which did 66 teams last year in Cincinnati, Ohio, which was really good. But now this year is moving to Indiana. And then I added Aloha Hospitality, which is going to be more of a smaller, intimate event in Hawaii. So I'm just growing and trying to see football in places where they don't get the credit, where they don't get the recognition, where they aren't on under the radar, where they aren't on here. My vision is always to understand how football is played in different states and cities and regions. And I get a kick out of it. I've been to places that a lot of people wouldn't go. Been to Seattle, Washington. I've been to Idaho. I've been to Oregon. I've been to a lot of places. So when people say national, I'm national. Like, it ain't nobody that does what I do on the level that I do. And that's not to brag or anything. That's just my resume.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can definitely attest to that, man. And I think even well before that, when we did the event here in Jacksonville, years ago, and it was you who was, doing all of your articles and your write-ups and cutting the film, and people
Yeah.
wanting to know, hey man, is Darren over here watching the game? And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, it's crazy. It was what's my guy from Maryland Seahawks.
Yeah, Maryland Seahawks, Jarvis.
Jarvis. They wanted to make sure that you was there. And I was like, he right over there sitting down watching the game, and I was like, you see, that's what you call credibility. You know what I mean? But I must say, man, even when bringing you in for the BTH, when people saw you, see, this what people got to realize is this. When people saw Darren, that's now like seeing your R&R. But Darren was bigger than that. Because now Darren validated your event. Oh, Darren here? Oh, yeah, it's something. Yeah, there you go over there. He on the. So it's like when you have that and you can grow from it, that's the blessing. And then to have the heart that you have to not only say, I want to have this event, but I don't want to charge a lot. And you got to get to the understanding that you got to get the business first. And no one could have told me this years ago when I first started doing this. Hey, man, you got to get your money. Man, forget that.
Got you, because people don't understand. And see, that's I had to understand that. And see, as a African American, we have to be honest about how we're brought up. We aren't brought up in business. We are my beginnings wasn't like this. I never saw my calling. I think I gotta give Jonah credit for that, no matter where we stand at, because at the end of the day, he the one who saw that I was doing this like as a hobby. And I used to travel around Miami and just go watch games, and I'd be on a message board and we'll be debating about football. And I used to debate with Jonah. So, he had respect for me, and he called me. He was like, hey man, you need to do this professionally. Like, come on and let me put you on and stuff like that. So my beginning started with Generation Next and Jonah telling me and my guy, Jerry Williamson, to come in. And Jerry is super huge right now as well. So like, we came from beginnings where we were everywhere, and that's what I believe in. A lot of people try to tell me to get away from the camera or stop doing more stuff, have somebody to do it, but I'm passionate about it, and I don't feel like anybody can do it like I do it. Is go pay attention to it. Like even me, I'm gonna stay out there all day. You go see me out there all day. When I'm doing AYF Nationals, I'm out there all day. When I'm doing my hospitality series, I'm out there all day. I'm trying to watch all the football I can, because at the end of the day, when you're me, a lot of people like to try to challenge you to see how much you do know. So that's on me to not slip and always know what's going on, even when they don't know what's going on.
Correct. And I can say, even as you brought up Jonah, one of the things back in 2015 that he told me when we was getting that preseason event together, it's like, hey,
yeah, man, you dog, like you helped like start, like people don't understand, like that first preseason event that opened the door for YNC, because it wasn't officially YNC. It was showing Battle what it could be, So when we did that tournament in Jacksonville that Ricky got the feel for, got some of his teams to come down, and people we did it big in Jacksonville, and that started YNC. We were partnered with NSR and stuff like that. So people got to understand, when everybody love YNC, but they got to understand how it was built. And I was an instrumental part in building that. And I knew all the national teams anyway. Like, they did the business part. I was on the ground knowing everything from players to teams, which helped grow it. Like when we did our first national in Daytona that year, where it was one of the biggest games in youth football, which was the Hurricanes and IE Ducks at the time, not OG, IE Ducks at the time. That was in Daytona. I had to go find teams because people wasn't really buying into something new. And Battle was only partially in then, but after that game, they were all in, and YNC was created, So
right.
Like, people don't know the history, but it is what it is. Like, just to be around for Pop Warner, when Pop Warner was power. Like this morning, I posted our 2010 national championship games that we played, from Pop Warner to YNC to AYF. you know, I've been through it all. I've seen it all, you know, especially with players. So, you know, I'm super hyped about that.
And that's like one of my excitement. And I was told by a friend of mine, he was like, Rick, man, you ought to tell your story. And I said, well, I ain't never been I've never been too intrigued of pumping up myself because I forget a lot. You know,
I feel the same way.
Yeah, I forget a lot. And it's like when you are doing it genuinely, you're not doing it to say, look what I did.
Yeah.
You're doing it because somebody else is gonna tell your story. You know, it's just like you break, like, just my thing was in 2015 when I talked to Jonah, and I'm going step by step by step. I took all that stuff as life lessons because I had just finished, I just did in January my first BTH.
Mm-hmm.
Was out in the cold at Jackson, and that being able to be on that bigger stage with all of these teams that came in, and I was trying to tell these local dudes, I was like, everything that y'all doing, I don't did it. So I'm not excited. I don't get, you know, when it's time.
Yeah.
It's behind the scenes, and it has nothing to do with going. If I'm just going, oh yeah, I go in a heartbeat. But when you have to prepare 6 to 8 months,
yeah, that's different. That's different, bro. And see, people don't understand that. And see, like, and what I've learned, like I say, like we have to teach our kids growing up is how to be more business minded, how to handle business. Because when you're not professionally into business or know things like that, like, you know, people are able to pull like certain things over you. You know, like that's what we don't teach. Like the Hispanic community, they have their kids in their restaurants teaching them the ropes. So when it's their time, they jump it, they hit the ground running, they know the game. You know, the Arab people, them as well, you know, the Chinese people. But our Black community, we don't really teach our kids businesses, and we aren't passing down businesses. So when we become entrepreneurs, you know, it's a lot that we don't know, and we mess up before we get it right. And some never able to get it right. They end up sinking, and their business is crippled. So like when I'm going through this and I'm doing this, it's a lot that I've learned, and I like to do things the right way. And if you do things the right way, you're going to spend money. And I remember somebody told me this, and I ain't gonna say who told me this, but I'm gonna say this. They told me this, and I never believed it to be true. There's like, when you do an event, you're never supposed to spend your own money. And it was like, when he told me that, I was like, but what if I want to make it better? I want to make it an experience where they like, wow. But see, if you come from where I come from, like Pop Warner, you go to these extravagant events and you see things, you like, wow, this is beautiful. I want to keep coming through this, the structure, everything. I want my events to mirror that. So you have to spend money. Yeah, they bigger corporations, but you can dial it down some and do the same things. And while people may look at events and try to count your pockets, they don't realize how much money is going out. You know what I'm saying? Because it costs. Like me personally, I had the most videos or highlights at my events. I spent, I say about 13,000, 14,000 on just video guys. You know, because they cost like video graphics, all that. That costs a lot of money. People don't understand that. You know,
so you know what? I mean, you spending, because video guys are optional, and you have them. But what's not optional is refs.
Woo, don't even talk to me about. No, forget that, quality refs. Because I had refs last year that I paid their price at 50 just to not be in negotiations and argue with, and I replaced the crew, and I brought in another crew that helped the crew before, the year before, and they looked good. But they came back when the job was solely theirs. They were horrible. Like I was going out there, people calling me, hey, my game ain't started. I get out there, the refs sitting down under, hey man, it's hot out here. It's such and such degrees out here. And I'm like, bro, I'm paying y'all $50 an hour, and I mean $50 per game. I ain't even argue with you with it. Like, how are you like? And then they stopped like 3 games. They never asked me or nothing. They just took it upon themselves to stop games because they wanted to go home or shorten it up. Like, if you're not ready for that long haul, don't sign up for it. So it's hard to find quality refs as well.
I agree with you, man. I mean, me and Brandon, we have now reached $60 because we got refs that's traveling in, and when we look at the bottom line, and I try to tell people, people want to, what this for? What this for? I said, when you walk through that gate, especially at Austin Tender Park, which is one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
When we've been blessed to have that event there for the last 3 years. When you walk through that event, that gate, man, it tells you everything you need to see. You know, the facility is beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything is laid out. The scoreboards are up. And you're paying for everything in that facility. And I had to tell some people last year. I said, when you park, we don't get that money. And they was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I don't get the parking. $5 that go to
and they get the concession.
And thank you. And I said, I don't get the concessions. So they was like, "Hold on, Rick. So you telling me you don't get the parking, all the concessions?" I said, "No." I said,
all I realize how much that field costs. That field is a top echelon facility. So you're paying an arm and a leg. You may be paying $150 an hour for that field. And like people don't realize that, and that cut costs when you allow them to get concessions in parking lot. To see again, people don't understand that. And I ain't gonna even lie, Rick. I'm gonna be honest. Like when I'm looking at the game now, I'm people get confused on the internet following things because now everybody is trying to throw their own events, and people don't understand how hard it is to throw an event. So like while you're going to support a first time event for somebody that never did it, you can expect everything to be bad. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, because if you never did it and you have no experience in it, it will hit you like a whirlwind, and you don't know how to recover. I've seen people quit. Like when I was working for Generation Next, before I started doing my own, I had a dude that had a mental breakdown, and that's when I had to step in and learn how to run events. And I knew how to because I sat back. But I had to step up and start running the event because he got tired of people calling him, asking him things. And, because your phone go keep ringing. People go call you for every little thing. And people are now supporting events of people who've never run events before. And I ain't knocking them. I don't know their background, but I'm telling you, that's like a recipe for disaster. And people want to run to the internet when they say, "Oh, man, that was a janky event." What did you expect? You never heard from it. It just popped out of nowhere, and they sold you on it on the internet.
That's
so
right.
At the end of the day, I think people should keep the events to people that run events that don't have an invested interest. Too many people are trying to make money to travel off events, but never ran events. So them events not go run the way they should, So, but hey, that's on everybody else to support.
Well, I totally agree with you on that, man, because it seemed like every time when I would have something going on, there was always someone who wanted
somebody trying to mirror what you're doing. That's this. The social media makes it now where it's a copycat game. Like everybody see you do something, they'll be trying to do it too, but they're on the outside looking in, and they don't know that every step. They just looking at the first step and the 7th and 8th. Forget 2 through 6. Which is very vital. And
a lot of that 2 through 6 is your own money.
Exactly. I just said this. Man, you got to talk after this too. But you got to have your ducks lined up too. You got to have your nonprofits and stuff like that. You might not have a nonprofit, so you can't really get the right sponsorships from that. And people don't understand that. Again, it's business, and you're learning on a job. So these things that you have to learn and you have to obtain if you want to be a respected businessman and have these sponsors help you make the money. And see, honestly, like the people that know how to do that and know all the paperwork, they have some of the worst events. I'm going to be honest with you. I know a dude that beat me out for money from the city, and he had nobody at his event. But guess what? The city hadn't already paid him. So he was paid. Like, so it was an incentive. Like, people was like, "I thought that was your event, D. I thought that was your event." I'm like, "That wasn't my event." He said, "Man, the event was over by 2:00. It started at 9 to 10, and it was over at 2. He was like, "Man, I had to play the same team 2 times." He like, "I'm mad." I was like, "Bro, y'all got to look at it." But he got paid. He know his paperwork. He go to the city. See, you got to learn on the job, man. Be a sponge. I learned a lot from YNC and Battle because I used to be in the Omaha, Nebraska. Me, Clayton, Jonah, the accountant Tony, and the owner of Battle, which was Chris Circle. So we used to sit up there, and I used to tell half of them what's going on because one thing about businessmen, they have multiple streams of income, so they have something else that's more where they get most of their money from. So they don't have time to pay attention to youth football. And I was the guy that gave them a post for youth football and let them know what was okay and what wasn't okay, you know. And then all the teams that they didn't pay attention to, I showed attention to. So that helped my transition to making the seal officially just mine and my events better, because all the people remembered who, when the big guys didn't answer their calls and ignored them because they didn't need them, they remember who was always there for them and helping them navigate through the whole thing. And I think that's what made me bigger than what I am. Like it ain't a city around this country I can land in that I'm not good at.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. And I mean, to have all these pop-up events that I do see, when I always associate any event with a name, with everything that we do and everything that we talk about, everything is centered around the name, who's affiliated with it, what's going on, you know, and that brings me to, you know, when you're doing your rankings. I remember when people would wait for you to post your rankings, and then they would copycat off of your rankings.
Yeah. They do. Listen, I do team rankings and see, like, make no mistake, AYF I'm contracted to work for AYF. AYF treats me like a king. Anything they have going on, they want me there. They respect me as a person. And that's where I found my purpose at, when people respect you and treat you like a priority, you know. And in my early career, like, I was always a priority, but I didn't know my importance. Like my guy Ricky told me when I went out on my own, I used to be scared to go out on my own. My boy Ricky always told me, "Hey D, man, these people love you. You can do it by yourself. You can do it by yourself. But when you're a part of a big brand that's steamrolling everything, but at the same time they're shortchanged. They not valuing you financially to help yourself, you know." So I'm at these places, but I got to sacrifice in other areas because I'm not taken care of as a top priority, you know. So my guy Ricky always told me from the very jump, D, go out on your own. D, do your thing on your own. But it took something bad to happen to me for me to, you know, finally get mad enough to say, oh, I could do it by myself. And once I started doing it by myself, I will never forget the feeling I felt in Savannah. Savannah was my first year doing it by myself after the first Southern Hospitality. And I remember after the event, I had me a cup of Hennessy, and I was on Tybee Island, and we were on one of those them beach houses that you got to walk upstairs to, and you could feel the ocean breeze. And I remember my guys who wanted me to party every night, and I wouldn't because I was too involved in working. They would sleep on the couch. And I was like, this is the first night they went to sleep before me. And this is the last night. We're supposed to be partying now. So I had a cup of Hennessy, and I propped my feet up, and I sat back, and it was a surreal feeling because I had 50-some teams, and I was able to manage it. And I went to the internet, and everybody was raving about it. So it was like, wow, like I really did it. And it didn't seem real. It seemed like deja vu. And I was like, wow. And that feeling, it's always the feeling after you have a successful event. Like, I really did it, because it's so many things that can go wrong. You know what I'm saying? So God blessed me. You know, God blessed me to not have things to go wrong. And even when things go wrong, he provided an answer. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like, I love it, and I try to bring things that other people won't bring to the table. Like, I just dropped the article, you know, this week on some of the top quarterbacks in the country. You know, I do things, but as far as my rankings go, listen, I try to give everybody their proper respect. I don't put one above the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I understand, like, and that's what I love about AYF. AYF don't get mad because I rate a YNC team before them. They really don't care. You know, they just care that you're pumping their guys, and regardless of where they have them at. You know, so when I'm ranking, I try to be fair as possible. You know, and that's what people got to understand. I'm the only one that's going to acknowledge a pot won a national champion by putting their pot won a national championship logo next to that team's name, or UYFL logo next to that team's name. I try to make everybody feel important and not less than, you know, because not everybody is built the same. You know, not everybody is, but they still national champions. You know, so when I look at it, and just like I try to tell people, like when they try to compare YNC with AYF, it's not a comparison when you got a month cutoff, like two different cutoffs. And people like to downplay it and say it's just a month. No, it's not just a month. It's that those people who have 7-1 are targeting the best kids with those birthdays that probably will make an impact on the next age group that they should be playing on if they're going by the proper cutoff. The proper cutoff is what UYFL, AYF, Pop Warner, and AAU have. It's the universal cutoff. YNC has changed it where it got some leagues even changing to it just to go YNC. You know, but at the end of the day, I try to be as fair as possible in my rankings. I try to get teams that probably don't think they have a shot to be in the rankings to get in the rankings. I love to get a new team in the rankings. Like last year, I had Robin Eagles from Illinois. Too many people ain't really know about them. They thought they was kind of soft, but they end up making it to AYF regional championship game, and they should have beat Southfield. They didn't, but they showed they were for real. And you know, and that's really what Southern Hospitality is about. Southern Hospitality and my hospitality series is about setting up crossover matchups. You know, like teams from different states. You know, different matchups that you probably will never see. I think that's what preseason should be about. You know, I don't do running clocks either. 2 games guaranteed. My event is more like an open scrimmage to see what you have as a team. Do some victories hold weight? Yeah, they do hold weight, but they don't hold 100% weight because as the season goes on, teams change, teams get better. So I can't really be bragging about you beating me preseason when I'm probably a totally different team in December or November.
That's, you know, that has always been an issue for me. When they came in with the different birthday cutoff, and I know a lot of people like, oh, it's just 30 days. Well, 30 days make a big difference from when you're going through the regular season and you're playing against July 31st team. And I always tell people, you can have a team loaded with studs, but if the coaches is not where it need to be at, all that's canceled. You know, but I respect and have always respected your rankings because you rank, you put thought into it. You know, you guys are July 1st. This is not the same team that's going to end at the end of the season, as you just stated. And I always said, man, they taking the essence of youth football and they're turning every team into an all-star team.
Yeah, and I you know what, Ricky, and I ain't gonna even lie. A lot of days I love what I do, and I always motivate myself to see I'm doing it for the kids. Because when I grew up, I was the dude that always got the athlete books. Like I played ball, I was really good at ball. But you know, at the end of the day, a lot of kids who come from where I'm from end up a product of their environment. You know, because at the end of the day, like that's what we do it for. We want these kids to know that. That's why I do it on that tip, and I stay at middle school. I stay at the youth level. I could have went to college, could have went to high school, got jobs and stuff like that. But at the same time, a lot of these kids are facing peer pressure in their neighborhoods, and they don't know who they want to be. You know, like when I follow kids. So I really follow them. I really interact with them. And I don't just rank them and be done with them. I follow their whole path. I want to know where it came from, what went wrong, what path you need to take so you can eventually help somebody else one day who's going through something similar. So at the end of the day, when you sit and look at it, like a lot of us come from bad backgrounds where we're wrestling with, do I want to be the toughest street dude or do I want to play football? And like, I realized that's where a lot of us went wrong, you know, because we watched guys around us, the older guys, make all the money, got the nice cars, all the women or whatever. And some people scared of him. When you're younger, you think that's what it's supposed to be, you know, and it's really not. You know, that lifestyle is dead or in jail is what your older people used to tell you. And God blessed me to make it to this age. So now I understand all the lessons when they were trying to slow me down, telling me, because they saw life's experiences, and they saw a lot of different paths from different people. You know, and when you go through life, you realize people that you lose, you wouldn't understand. You never saw it coming. You know, I had a cousin that was like my brother to me, and he experimented. He always wanted to take ecstasy, and his time taking ecstasy, when he finally got a hold of it, it made him schizophrenic.
Wow.
You know, and he lost his whole life to that. Now he's not the same person. Once you lose your mind, like he's a productive citizen, but he not who I knew. You know,
Right.
so you know, and just like you get guys who do 20-some years and stuff like that. So when you look at life, you understood what them old heads used to tell you, because they saw the steps you were making and where you would probably lead to. So, you know, I'm grateful to be at this age where I'm able to pass on that wisdom to kids. And I tell kids now, when I follow them, like right now, if I go to their page and they hit me up, hey, I want to get ranked, I go to their page and I look at their page. If I don't see no football on there, or if I see some kind of gangster name or something, I'm gonna tell them. I'm gonna be like, hey, yo, man, like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a football player? Or you want to be a street dude? I say, man, football players who love the game, their page is going to reflect football. You know, a lot of these kids don't even have not a lick or nothing on there, but they'll tell you they're supposed to be in the rankings. Like, what do you care more about?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you know what? I think that's a contribute to the adults that's around them as well. When you see adults get on social media and act like idiots, act more gangster.
Man, listen, parenting and positive influence is horrible right now. Like these, man, listen, man, don't even get me started on these people. That's why I say less now. Like, I just sit back and watch a lot of stuff, and I ain't with the arguing on the internet, because it seems like everybody is attracted to the negativity or some drama. So, you know, you kind of lead that to them, you know. And the ones that want to hear it, they go contact you privately or ask you some things. So at the end of the day, you know, I'm just trying to keep kicking it, because I feel like, you know, some days I feel like I may not want to do it no more, because it's changing for the worse. And like you said, they're making all-star teams, like, you know, and it's not fair. Like, it's not like FBU should be for FBU. If you want to build an FBU team, build the FBU team and go play in FBU, where they're putting together the top teams in the city or the state. Like, they're representing their whole city or their whole state. But you got these guys doing tryouts, and then you got, like, right now you got like DEA. Don't get me wrong, love Courtney, love what he's doing, because he's in my field. But how would it feel if I'm doing me a whole organization? It's cheating, because I'm going to sell the kids, and this is what get a lot of them. I'm gonna get you exposure. I'm gonna get you exposure. You go get out there. You go get the college offers and stuff like that, and they gonna believe me, because I write and talk about this, which I can do it. But at the end of the day, I love what I do, and giving more kids a shot. Like, that'll take away from what I'm doing. But DEA is led by people who have their own All-American game, their own combine and ranking services. So just think about the talent that they're putting together. You know what I'm saying? And then other teams trying to mirror it. You hear people saying weak stuff like, yo, man, we need to merge. And it's like, what they forgetting about it is football, and youth football is about development and teaching these kids. And what they fail to realize right now, these adults are too caught up in the fame and wanting the hype, and they forgetting about the kids that need to be taught, that needs time to be taught, and need to be taught the game. These dudes get to practice and just start running plays. They ain't going to individuals. You don't got an O-line coach, got them doing this, D-line coach. You don't got an offensive, defensive day. You just straight calling plays because you got all the talent. And the ones that can't catch on, they get left behind. Now they got a whole wasted year. Like, it's so many different things. But
and man, I'm gonna say this in closing, man, because when I tell you, I can sit and talk to you for hours, because we share the same interests, the same love. And just in my closing statement, man, the one thing that I told my son when he was coming, he was sending me all these photos from Florida State and everything. I said, son, were you ever ranked? And he said, no, Dad. I said, was you ever the first pick? He said, no, Dad. Was you the fastest? Said, no. I said, but you stay consistent with working. And the consistency with working. First of all, you wrote the plan. Now you're working the plan. You wrote it, now you're working it. I say now in the midst of your working your plan, you're going to have to encounter little bumps and bruises that you may not have been prepared for. But the ideal of it is when you have adults who place themselves in front of the kids instead of the kids in front of them, then you're always going to have an idiot at the forefront. And that's the sad part of where we're going at now with youth sports.
But you know what? You made a awesome, valid point. And you know what? That's what I always say. I love the kids that see kids like your son. You always had him around the best and competing against the best. So at the end of the day, when that light come on and they ready and they hungry, they gonna remember how it was to feel to not be recognized, to not get the credit. So now they got a chip on their shoulder and they're more humble because they know where they came from. You know what I'm saying? They go appreciate the hype and all the recognition they get, and it's gonna keep them hungry and keep them going. Your son is just like this kid, Ricky McKnight, at Benjamin School right now. My homegirl Leticia's son. You know, so it's awesome to see it. And like when you send me your son film, I be so excited to see it because I love the underdog and the long shots of the guys that they like come on at the same time. Evan Neal was one of those kids as well, you know, and he's in the league now. You know,
man, I'm gonna tell you this, bro. This will not be the last time that you come on this River City Sports Podcast.
Most definitely.
Man. I'm getting my time. My time is up for this episode.
And let me say one more thing before I go. I want to say get well to my guy Terrell Dallas, man. Get well, Dallas, man. That's my brother, and I hope you're doing very well, brother. Love you guys, and I love the city of Jacksonville. You guys are my second family in Florida, and every time I go, I get so much love. I don't need a ride. I don't need to pay for food. Like, everybody just treat me the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Duval and the city of Jacksonville.
And man, but saying that about Terrell Dallas, make sure y'all visit Terrell Dallas' page, his GoFundMe, his beautiful wife. Family is always advertised to GoFundMe. Please be there to support the brother simply because a horrific accident, God is seeing him through. He's been a little more conscious, but guess what? Bills need to be paid. So if you guys can, man, visit his page, go to the GoFundMe, support. We are definitely here for our guy. Man, we had a special guest, Darren T. Green, on with us today. This will not be the last. We're going to have Mr. Green on, who is the founder of The Seal and so many other outstanding things. Southern Hospitality. This man got Aloha Hospitality coming. I'm excited to hear more about that. But until next time, this is Ricky Simon signing off. We are always representing for the community. We're going to stand for the kids. We love what we do at an all-time high. Till next time, we'll see you later.
In our world, women wear many hats. Rather she's our sister, auntie and mothers, or godmother, she tends to go out of her way to make everyone okay. But who checks on her? Lifetree Women Care Clinic believes in addressing all of women's health issues and preventative care issues to keep you going. Our state-of-the-art facility that can directly address all of a woman's health concerns. The caring staff of the Lifetree is waiting to serve you. Our director says it like this.
My goal is to meet every woman, one woman at a time, right where she is, and let her tell me what she needs so that we can work together to meet those.
Every woman deserves the best treatment, no matter what. We promise to treat the whole woman at the Lifetree Women's Care Clinic. Schedule your appointment today.
Isn't that the place to start?
March 25th at Abyssinia Baptist Church. It's Kim and Son's 13th anniversary, featuring Harvey Watkins and the Canton Spirituals, Zacardi Cortez, Tim Rogers and the Fellas, Keela Richardson, the Gospel Legends, Risen, and Maurice McZeek and MDK. Tim and Sons 13th anniversary, March 25th at Abyssinia Baptist Church. For tickets and info, call 904-813-0085.
Dreaming about having your own podcast? Want to share your thoughts and ideas with the world but don't know how to do it? Maybe you're excited and committed but don't have a good space to record. Would you like a professional environment to produce all of your podcasts? Well, we have the latest technology from 4K to HD and various set layouts from green screen rooms to live studios. The Inspire Network is an actual television station where our studios are available for rent and we offer editing suites with the latest technology. We have a makeup studio and beautiful spaces to prepare for your show. Don't forget to ask about our convenient photography studio to capture professional headshots or redefine your new look. Our state-of-the-art facility is intentionally laid out to accommodate your multimedia needs.